studies have been led by the media in current decades. Specifically, online media's communication on climate change has been subjected to major interest, which is directing information from scientists and policymakers to the public because of its implications for creating national variation in public understand global climate change issues. Which it is analyzed how the trend of online media coverage related to climate change issues. Interview method has been applied to assess the online media policy and editorial landscape about the climate change issues and explore the policymakers' view about climate change related journalism. In this study, the semi-structural interview method has been employed through two sets of pre-designed open-ended interview guides. The daily Prothomalo has been selected for content analysis and purposive sampling method has been applied for selecting different type of online media. Results and discussions. We got some results like climate change stories in Bangladeshi online media have increased rapidly and online media deeply concentrate on these issues. It has been found that the number of online stories on climate change issue in analyzed online newspaper increased from 8 to 17 between 2006 to 2017. The number of stories increased twofold in 2008 and fivefold during the last year in comparison with 2007. In online media, more than one story per day in an average in 2009 compared to four climate change stories per month in 2006, above 8 per month in 2007 and 18 per month in 2008. Local reporters have become more active in seeking stories for their products about climate change. Foreign reports Foreign reports come from various international online media like such as British, American journal, newspaper, and agencies such as AP, AFP, etc. are also sources for Bangladeshi online media. About one third of the climate change stories are about mitigation measures with year-on-year trend stabilizing on online stories. Coverage of climate change treaty progress remains weak. In online history, they accounted for 6 to 8% in 2008 and 2009. Poverty and climate change, as well as waste of climate change, are becoming hot issue in Bangladeshi online media. Recommendations. There are two recommendations for this research. The online media in our country needs to put more importance on climate change issues. And Press Institute Bangladesh PIB would take initiatives to train journalists and build more capacity to cover climate change issues in the country. Climate change coverage by the Bangladeshi online media has steadily improved. Journalists acquiring more knowledge on climate change, more skilled becoming writing issues of climate change, and enthusiastic for more in reporting on climate change as observed from interviews and focus groups with journalists. The environment in which journalists work has become more favorable for covering climate change issues. And policymakers want journalists to communicate their message to the public, and they view journalists as the key actors in spreading climate change information to the public domestically and beyond. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Islam, for your quick presentations and also ended in within time limit. Thank you again. For me, it's an interesting issue. Online media, as we know, as present day, we are always remain online. So online media and online, especially on social media, has a great impact on our daily lives. So it is very interesting, and I think it would be more interesting if the scope of the research can be widened That will be more interesting. And also one thing I just hearing the presentation, then I think that if the uh, audience or if the readers reaction come to the research scope, I think it would be an interesting one. When we read any article or papers or any story on online, we see that many readers write on comments on the stories. So that would be also a source of interaction or source of reaction. Thank you again, Mr. Islam. Now floor is open. I like to request audience for questions. Any questions? Over to Dr. Alamgir. Do you have any comments on this paper? Please unmute.
if if there is, yeah, sorry, thank you. If there is no question from the audience, I have a question. I have just out of curiosity, do you analyze the impact of your study in the society or for the economy of the country? Do you have a plan to study in that direction? Like if your report have some feasible impact on the economy of the country.
Mr. Islam.
Sadi Islam.
Yes, not yet. We just follow the just story coverage in online media, but in future we will also try to find out the more impact on society and also in international policy and Bangladeshi government policy also will include.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Thank you.
can I ask a question?
Please.
Yeah. It was an interesting presentation for me, really amazing. But uh, I want to know something that is there any plan to continue this work in future? Like, if so, then we can also provide some write-up or some information regarding the climate change or meteorology, and it could be a regular basis, and it could be actually impactful for the society. So, if so, then we are interested to work together.
Yes, of course. We'll collaborate with this topic. No problem. If you join an adventure with Department of Meteorology and also online media, then we will continue this research. Hopefully.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so now, as Javed was saying, like the climate change is very important topics. Now, like the very frontline newspaper, like Prothomalo and like that, if they have some special issue, like in once in 3 months or once in a month or once in 6 months, if they have some special page on climate change, I guess that will have some uh, fruitful effect on the society, you know. So my suggestion would be like uh, think in that line that okay, we'll have some page or we'll have some special issue uh, once in 3 months or once in 6 months. Then maybe it will be very helpful. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I think we can go for the
Yes.
second presentation. Our second presenter is Mr. H.M.M. Tariq Hussain of Share Bangla Agricultural University, Dhaka. His topic is growth and yield response relationship to agrometeorological indices on land races of maize cultivation cultivated in Bangladesh. Please, so much noise is coming, I think. Yes, Mr. Tariq, please.
Okay, thank you very much for inviting me to start my session. At first, I would like to thank chairman of this session and co-chairman, honorable guest, ladies and gentlemen from home and abroad. Uh, okay, so I would like to invite you all to my presentation on growth and yield response relationship to agrometeorological indices on land races of maize cultivated in Bangladesh. In our topic, uh, one keyword I should note that land races. So at first we should know the land races of maize. So literally we can say land races are a dynamic population of a cultivated variety or plant that has historical origin, distinct identity, genetically diverse, locally adapted, and associated with traditional farming. And in another way, we can note that land races are very much important genotypes for crop breeding purpose due to their high adaptability and high genetic variability they could provide. So it could serve as a good source of genetic variations, and breeder or agronomic personnel can pick up their own choice of interest from that pool of land races. So, and as the land races have some historical perspective, so I should first confine on some perspective of maize cultivation and land races of maize in Bangladesh. So in my presentation, these are all about outlines. So we can focus another slide. Maize is originated historically from Mexico, and, and then it spread through New World to the Old World. This ash color seems the Old World, and this uh, greenish color is a New World. So originally, the maize is originated from this area, Mexico, and this part of this world, and then transferred into this mainland of this globe. So this is side by side two figures of our planet, through which part we can imagine the maize crops are originated and transferred into the old world. Uh, so the question is how this maize disseminated from new world to old world. So historically we can find this silk route. These all are silk route. So from this way, maize were transported from the new world to our old world. So this is a kind of just historical perspective of this crop. And then in Bangladesh perspective, we can see from this graph that before our independence, nobody have accounted about this crop. But uh, since 1970, I mean, just starting up our Holy Liberation War and independence, we can see about the existence of maize cultivation in Bangladesh. And initially, it was very low amount of area as well as production. As the coast passed, and we can calculate up to 2015 to 2016, we can see the maize cultivation trend and acreages both are increased gradually and sharply after 2013 to 14. And recently we can see the This is a kind of uh, information I picked up from Dhaka Tribune on 14th November 2020. They published from 2016 to 2020. It expand 5.4 million tons per hectare per year. So you could say this is a kind of a sharp increase of acreage and production of this crop in Bangladesh. And all of this a sharp increase of acreages and production in Bangladesh, we can point out some reasons. Basically, some we can say the poultry feeds area, and sometimes human being also consume this crop. But traditionally, this crop is grown as well as has been grown as well as consumed by the traditional people, tribal people in Bangladesh, especially the mountainous areas in hill tracts. So they use some kind of indigenous variety. That's why we say the land races of this crop, and we can still find some areas of cultivation. But I'm sorry, I don't have any accurate information of this land races of maize in mountainous area, but still we can see they're growing and they're consuming as their daily food intake. This is a picture of traditional land races of maize cultivated in mountainous areas in Bangladesh. It's a very nice to look at, and uh, it's a wonderful creation of Almighty Allah. So these all sorts of maize are still in cultivated in Bangladesh. So why we are going to go for a study? So as the land races has the traditional germplasms, so this is the basic source of genetic material to be used for crop improvement of this area, and still the acreages are growing steadily up. So this crop has ranked second next to rice in Bangladesh. So as of other crops, maize have some hybrid variety, but side by side land races are still cultivating. But all as of all the crops, the agroclimatic factors influence. So our main focus is to pick up some important characters, and this is specifically for geneticist, plant breeder. They can pick up some genetic material which are very nicely fit to the prevailing agrometeorological condition prevailing in Bangladesh. So that is the basis of our study we are going to present here. I have some small information on materials and methods. We collected 8 maize land races from hill tracts of Bangladesh, and our experiment was conducted at the agronomy research field of Bangla Agricultural University. And these are the location of this university, and we followed randomized complete block design to analyze the experimental results. This is very brief information of our materials and methods. In short, in addition to the materials and methods included here, uh, we can say to get the data from probably we have now our next slide, data recorded. So meteorological parameters we collected from our mini weather station situated in our farm area at the middle of this farm. So from that area, we have some kind of a small weather stations. They can uh, collect, they can record some data on soil wetness, solar radiation, air temperature, relative humidity, dew point temperature. Also, we have another sets of data, but we excluded from our experimentation analysis part. And for agronomic data, We used plant height, number of leaves per plant, and grain yield. So this is a very basic research, and we can follow up for further research. And if any breeder or plant physiologist or agronomist, they can take up our information as a base.
I think your time is running, please. Please
Okay,
wrap.
let me. So I have we have some correlation analysis. So from this analysis, you can see this kind of coefficient are very smaller, and this is a very interesting one in regard to solar radiation. And also this, there are some values very low, although these are sorry, these values are very low. So these are the points for plant breeder or agronomist they can go for. And another one is correlation coefficient values among number of leaves per plant. There are also some a small amount or lower values of coefficient. So this coefficient values does not mean that they could be discarded, but still we can use for next research purpose. This is the kind of growth phases of maize. So this is emergence part and all this vegetative part, and up to this one is reproductive, and this is finally maturity part. During this reproductive part, the maize grains follows this kind of style. So, and then we can go for another meteorological factor analysis for plant height. In generally, we can find positive interaction with wetness, solar radiation, air temperature, and dew point temperature. And these all individual graphs for specific land races up to land race 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8, up to 8. This is up to 8. But almost all the races have some kind of similar pattern. And another one is after maturity. During physiological maturity of this graph, we have some kind of information that wetness have some kind of positive relation, but solar radiation have no information or no impact on this stage. Air temperature also same, but relative humidity have some kind of. So lastly, we can say this kind of land race basis information. We can say wetness have kind of positive relationship at physiological maturity stage, and also relative humidity have same pattern. But in case of solar radiation, there is no impact at physiological maturity stage, similar at air temperature. And also wetness and solar radiation negatively goes down. And I don't know this pattern meaning, so I would like to open for the viewers what this graph means for, and especially the meteorologist can explain why dew point goes down and then yield goes up. So finally, we can say that these pieces of information could be used for future breeding purposes to pick up some kind of good genetic information from these land races on the basis of meteorological interaction of these land races. Thank you very much for patient hearing, and thank you and thanks for chairman of the department for inviting me as a speaker of this session. I'm gladly to join this session. Thank you all.
Thank you, Professor Tariq. It's a very interesting research, I think. So, as time is running, any questions from the audience?
So I have just one question here.
Pardon,
You
please.
you you are showing some relationship with the meteorological parameters with the number of leaves
Yes.
or the height.
Okay.
Uh, are those parameter this number of leaves or height is important for yields, like for the
Yeah, although the height also is important because due to nutrient deficiency or light insufficiency or temperature insufficiency, the plant could not complete their life cycle or complete their growth pattern. So that will affect number of leaves. And leaf is a factory of photosynthesis or kind of source of food manufacturing point. So if there is reduced number of leaves, there must have reduced number of crops and
Mhm.
also the grains. So still there have some might have some important impact, negative impact on final yield of this crop.
Mm. So for solar radiation variation, you took data from different parts of the country, or
Oh no, no, just nearby our experimental field.
uh-huh.
We have some small
So
experimental.
then the variation is not that much, right? So
No, no, it's very close to maybe within 200 meters. So
mm.
but it would be more better than if we
Yeah, yeah.
could have
If
chance
yes,
to install the equipment inside the field. That would be much more better.
mhm, yes,
But it was not. Next time, we could remember your idea.
yeah. Thank you
We
very
have
much.
also planned.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Tarek.
Thank you very much.
Okay. If we don't have any questions or comments, then we go for the next paper. This paper is on climate change and women in Bangladesh, gender perspective. Presenter is Mr. Mashur Mujahid of Department of Naval Architecture and Marine Engineering of BUET. Mr. Mujahid.
Thank you, Conference Committee, for giving
Yes.
me the opportunity to depict my presentation on our research paper, Climate Change and Women in Bangladesh Gender Perspective. This is Masroor Mujahid representing from my team on our given topic. So, why this should it's an important issue for us. Let's get started. Climate change has become a global burning issue that has always been discussed through its cause and effects only in a generic way. But climate change has been impacting in global regions, generation to generation, poor to rich, men to women differently for many years. And this difference of impact in different groups will be increasing every year to year in upcoming future. The impact of climate change is completely gender differentiated. The consequences of climate change affect men and women differentiately. Among the impact differentiating factors, least talked on gender's perspective. Climate change is also the most crucial issue for growing economy of our Bangladesh. So what was the main objective of our research? This study illuminates how men and women are differentially impacted through climate change and how they can overcome with this big problem with their differentiated strategy. Actually, to look in broader scheme, what we see that climate change impacts men and women both. But if we can specifically differentiate, then we can see that women are being mostly affected. So if we want to decrease that effect, then we it's a very good it will be a very good strategy if we can emphasize the on the effects on women and proceed nearby. So we how we get our data and how we pursued our methods for this research. Let's see here. Uh, our analytical study is mainly based on extensive review of relevant literature available in different secondary sources, such as various research articles, working papers, government documents, newspapers, online publications, websites, and related books. For the analysis, the primary data has been comprehensively been used in the study. The primary data was collected through focus group discussion and in-depth interviews with the affected women on climate change. For example, we went to our South Bengal region like Potuakhali, Bagherhat, Pirojpur, etc. area and gathered the survey report from the opinions of the women and men there. And thus we have produced our data and our research further. So what have we got from our data and research? We have come to the result that there are many disparities that increase risk for women in decrease disasters. Uh, so firstly, there are high levels of poverty, extensive responsibilities of caring for others. Domestic violence is another main reason. And another traditional women's occupations is another major reason that has never been talked. And again, as I disclosed that there was research the survey was also conducted through Maine. So the result that we have got from the survey result from Maine that the disparities that increase risk for Maine in disasters are mainly their occupational segregation, their internalized norms of masculinity, and again their roles in the family and in the home. To be frankly, these are the main reason that are causing the differentiated results of women and men impact in climate change. For in next, the gender experiences that can increase capacities for managing disaster situations, women. Let's see, their social networking, caring abilities, extensive knowledge of communities, management of natural and environmental resources, and high level of risk awareness can be implemented so that this differentiated result and their impact can be reduced. And for the men, that can be like professional and work contacts for men. They're using their technical abilities and uh, their limited childcare responsibilities can also be implemented to to decrease the differentiated results between men and women in climate impact. So in Bangladesh, women are mainly vulnerable to climate change by comparison with men. This is the reason, and these are the most impactful examples. Like 1,40,000 people died from the flood-related effects of Cyclone Gorky in 1991. Within that number, women outnumbered men by approximately 93%. This is quite unimaginable that 93% of them were women and only 7% of them were men. So to decrease the whole impact, we need to take the limelight to the women, then it will be a such generous strategy. Next, in 2007, during Cyclone Cedar and the subsequent floods in Bangladesh, the death rate was reportedly 5 times higher for women than for men. That's another unimaginable data. Women are highly dependent on local natural resources for their livelihoods because of their responsibility to secure water, food, and energy for cooking and heating. Women experienced physical, sexual, and emotional violence increases during and after disaster. Women face some violence in shelters, including mental abuse and physical torture. Women often face additional physical insecurity and loss of dignity while collecting relief during or after a disaster. During relief collection, they have to stand in long queues with male strangers. Again, another reason showing women suffer more from post-disaster spread of diseases and death rate is much higher among women. In some developing countries, women also run a greater risk of falling ill than men since they have poorer health and less access to healthcare services. So here we see that the treatment for women is also a vulnerable, and this vulnerability in their treatment is causing their post effect of disaster, and that's a major cause for their huge impact to this climate post climate impact. So here are some recommendations that our research paper gives. Climate change adaptation and mitigation policies must be address the gender issues. Secondly, bring women's voice into climate change arena. Their participation in climate change decisions should be assured. Incorporate gender issues in climate change policies and actions from a human rights point of view. Fourthly, the role of women's group and networks in climate change initiatives should be strengthened. Again, set standards and criteria for climate change mitigation and adaptation that incorporate gender equality and equity principles. Next, build capacity for
Please be quick.
global,
Time is done.
regional,
Yes.
and local levels to design and implement gender responsive climate change policies, strategies, and programs. And last but not the least, awareness programs on climate change impacts on women health would build the community's resilience. So here our research paper concludes women in Bangladesh are more vulnerable to the effects of climate change than men. Their livelihood are threatened by climate change. Furthermore, they face socio-economic and political barriers that limit their coping capacity. The particular effects of climate change on women will have long-term consequences for gender equality. Being the primary victim of climate change impacts, women can play a central role in adaptation and mitigation to climate change by optimizing energy efficiency, using low footprint energy sources and techniques, and influencing a household's and community consumption patterns. Thank you. This is all from me.
Thank you, Mr. Mujahid. It's really interesting issue. As you know, uh, Bangladesh is one of the most victimized country in global climate scenario. So women are more vulnerable than men. We found from the research. Now I like to give time to audience to ask more questions and comments.
Respected Chairman, may I
Yes,
ask one question,
please.
please? Okay, thank you. Dear Master Mujahid, very good perspective you have covered. So just one small query. How many weather-related, climate-related extreme, and what are the hotspots you have covered in your study?
We
And
have
in
mainly focused South Bengal part. To be precise, it was three jillas mainly. That was Patuakhali, Bagherhat, and Pirojpur.
Okay, and in the conclusion of summary slide, there should be some quantitative value. You have mentioned lots of recommendation and lots of summary or conclusion things. So this is somehow qualitative measures. So there should be some quantitative information that would be helpful to the audience. Thank you. Thank you
Okay,
very
thank
much.
you. That's in our research paper, but we have not mentioned in our presentation slide. Thank you.
Yeah, so I was also thinking same as Dr. Mohandas, because what I was thinking that in the presentation you would show that you are asking a question and you get the this percentage is like this percentage of women is affected, that percent of man is affected by that question, like that kind of qualitative data I was also expecting. Maybe this is that is in your research paper
Yes, sir.
basically. Yeah, so it would be very interesting to read your paper. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mashur. Any question from audience? Thank you. Just one comment from myself, Mr. Mashur. I think your study paper would be reading is a very interesting one. If you please submit to the government's this paper, then I think it will help the policymakers to make some policy, women-friendly policy, especially for climate victims women. Thank you, Mr. Mashur.
Yes, sir. That would be a great privilege.
Thank you. Okay. Now, our next presentation on impact of weather on rain-fed oush rice production in Bangladesh using DSS 80 4.7 version. Mr. Rahatul Islam will present, is from Department of Meteorology, University of Dhaka. Mr. Rahatul Islam.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir, for giving me the opportunity. I am Rahatul Islam. Today, in 8th technical session, I would like to present my research, which is observe the impact of weather on rain-fed oush rice production in Bangladesh using DSET 4.7. There are many crop simulation models, such as crop system, EPSIM, DSET. But DSET is highly used and have wide range of application at different spatial and temporal scale, such as precision management, regional assessment, impact of climate change, water use, greenhouse gas emission, long-term sustainability of soil, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen. In layout of my research, the major parts are introduction, objectives, methodology, result and discussion, conclusion, and recommendation. Where the methodology part mainly depends on calibration genetic coefficient parameter of my target variety, BR26, and validation the outcome with observed data. And the result and discussion part mainly show the impact of climate change in ultimate yield, best transplantation window for BR26 in pre-monsoon season, and variation in yield spatially. In introduction, this study explored the performance of pre-monsoon oush rice variety BR26 under different production environment, considering calibration and validation of decision support system for agrotechnological performance model or DSET version 4.7 model by inputting agronomic management, cultivar, weather, and soil data. Aush is environmental friendly in nature with better yield potentiality, where BR26 is a well-known Aush rice variety that performing for a long period in Bangladesh. The yield of Aush is comparatively less than Amon and Boro rice, but it required minimum input and provide better profit to the farmers. The objectives of my study are to study the best transplantation time for BR26 variety in pre-monsoon season, to identify the change in ultimate grain yield with climate change, to identify the change in ultimate yield with spatial variation. Whole the study can divide it into two sessions. The first session, we include the experimental real-time data such as crop management data, cultivar data, soil data, and meteorological data of that region. The meteorological data was conducted, which collected from Bangladesh Meteorological Department, and all these data input the model. The GenCal or genetic coefficient calculator was run to get a parameter of genetic coefficient of BR26 variety. To get better outcome, sensitivity analysis have conducted for every parameter in several times. After the calibration part had finished, the model ran for several times and get simulated output, mainly ultimate grain yield. Then the model simulated data were validated with field experimental data or observed data. After satisfactory result had come, then the experiment moved to the second part. In second part, target crop management information such as transplantation time, number of seedling in each hill, distance between hill, amount of fertilizer, pesticide use, etc. are input. Target climate change also inputted by adding, subtracting, or replace the amount of daily rainfall, temperature, solar radiation, and the level of carbon dioxide. Soil data for specific area and specific time also be added. Then model run again to get ultimate output such as grain weight, root and stem weight, leaf area index. Then the post simulation analysis have conducted. In the methodology part, it mainly depends on identify the genetic coefficient parameter, where 4 parameters are related to growing degree days or GDD, and 4 parameters related to growing coefficient. The sequence of calibration, in this whole procedure, different cultivar data used to fix one or more parameter. Time period of vegetative phase or P1 mainly depends on adjusted antithesis data. Critical photoperiod P2O also related to adjusted antithesis data. Speculate number coefficient G1 depends on adjusted grain number and adjusted grain yield. Tiller coefficient related to adjusted tiller number. And after that, we have got the rice cultivar coefficient. After the calibration part have finished and we got our genetic coefficient, uh, we we validate this with real-time data. In validation part, how simulated output are close to observed experimental data are calculated, where all the statistical analysis show that data are quite closer, where the bias value is 0.022, percent bias value is 0.93%, normalized root mean square value is 32.4%, root mean square value is 0.7268, correlation value is 0.852, index of agreement is 0.91. In result and discussion part, the transplantation window varied spatially. The highest Aush production was recorded in Sylhet, Chattogram, Kumilla, Patuakhali as transplanted second week of May. The maximum yield of Aush BR26 variety Borishal, Rajshahi, Rangpur, Dhaka, Mymensingh, Bogura, and Dinajpur as it transplanted middle of the March in pre-monsoon season. In map, the middle of the Middle of the March is better window for transplanting BR26 in northern part. And second week of the May is suitable for transplanting the southern part and southeastern part of the Bangladesh. The temperature is negatively correlated with the ultimate production. The yield declined drastically. The yield declined from 2.8 ton per hectare to 0.94 ton per hectare for increased daily mean temperature about 4 degrees Celsius temperature. About 28% loss have shown with increased daily every 1 degree Celsius daily temperature during pre-monsoon season of rice yield in Bangladesh. If we see the overall figure of the Bangladesh, then we can see that 1 degree Celsius temperature increase caused severe impact on western part, and 2 degree Celsius temperature increase also significant impact on western part of the Bangladesh. 3 degree Celsius temperature increase causes uh, eastern part and northern part as well as western part, and 4 degrees Celsius temperature cause drastic yield loss in western part, especially in Rajshahi region. In If we consider carbon dioxide and temperature relationship with ultimate yield, it shows that the increased carbon dioxide due to climate change increased some yield, but temperature increase due to carbon dioxide increase is suppressed it drastically. Uh, and finally, when we observe the combined effect, we have seen that ultimate yield is decreased with climate change. Though the BR26 is not a drought tolerant variety, it is very tough to get better production in increased temperature. Elevated carbon dioxide can uh, increase it a little bit, but overall the global surface temperature it reduced drastically. Then the precipitation or daily rainfall impact. The daily rainfall impact have significant impact. If we increase the daily rainfall 1 millimeter or 2 millimeter, it have less impact. And if we increase the decrease the daily mean rainfall is about 10 millimeter, it causes drastic reduction in ultimate yield. In Kumilla, Dhaka, and Rajshahi region. Change in yield with spatial variation. The yield varied mainly because of weather and soil quality. With considering all the management related data constant, yield of oush rice and percentage of clay content in topsoil is positively correlated, where the correlation value is 0.48. Besides, the yield of oush rice and saturated water content is also positively related, where correlation value is 0.19. Besides, the amount of rainfall positively related and temperature increase is negatively related. If we consider the simulated data, Bangladesh Bureau of Statistics data and Department of Agricultural Extension data, that there is not very significant variation. The root mean square value of simulated data and Bangladesh Bureau of Statistical yield data in 2018 is 0.306, and root mean square value of simulated data and the Department of Agriculture Extension data in of 2018 is 0.363, where the value of root mean square between Department of Agriculture Extension and BBS production data in 2018 is 0.158. In conclusion part, the final output of this analysis demonstrated that the major weather parameter have a significant impact, and production can be increased during pre-monsoon season if we consider all these things. From transplantation to harvest, the whole life cycle of BR26 required proper weather condition to provide best output. Otherwise, all the management practice will be useless. The recommendations are the required irrigation can be helpful in critical stage and it can be suppress the impact of increased temperature. The demand of new rice variety, which required less amount of water and more tolerant to heat and weed and insects. The crop model suggestion that adjustment to planting date would increase the rice yield in many districts. I thank you all. Uh, if there are any questions, please can ask.
Thank you, Mr. Rahatul Islam, for nice presentations. And it's a very important issue for Bangladesh, I think, because just one issue I just like to know from you that we know as August is pre-monsoon season. So sometimes in our pre-monsoon season, flash flood occurred, especially in northeast part of Bangladesh, especially Sylhet region. Do you have any study? What is the impact of flash flood on the August cultivation?
No, sir. I just studied the impact of climate change in future and transplantation time when it can be useful and provide better production when the time perfect time to better production. If we transplant in just time, it can get the proper rainfall and proper sunlight to provide the best output. But flash flood impact is related to rainfall ultimately. No, it's related to little bit rainfall in hilly region, but it will be considered as rainfall impact ultimately. If we consider it ultimately rainfall impact, then it can be considered in this research paper. But individually, the flash flood impact is not considered in this study.
Thank you. Now time for the audience, please ask questions or give your comments. Because Dr. Alamgir, do you have any comments or questions?
I have a technical question. You showed in a table that some bias value and percentage bias value. What is the difference between these two things, bias and percentage bias?
Uh, Bias and percentage bias value.
Yes. You showed in a table. I think it's in the first table of your presentation. Bias and percentage bias. You showed bias is like 0.02 something, and you showed the percentage bias is like 93 or something like that. What is the difference between these two?
So bias value is presented that simulated yield data and observed yield data. How much close each other and how much data are deviated from the simulated and observed yield deviation.
Yes.
And percentage bias is the percent how much the percentage ultimate percentage of data that are not considered that deviated from observed and simulated. No,
It
sir,
is the
no, sir, it's considered that how much that it related to
Okay, okay,
How,
I
how
got
much
it.
data is deviated from simulated and observed?
Yes, okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Any more questions or comments? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Rahatul Islam. Yeah. Now we can start our next presentation. Our next presenter is Mr. Jasimuddin from Department of Geography and Environment, University of Dhaka. His topic is on needs and deeds in early warning systems for sustainable agriculture in Bangladesh. Mr. Jasimuddin.
Yes, sir.
Yes, please.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. This is Joshimuddin presenting. I'm presenting this paper on needs and deeds in early warning systems for sustainable agriculture in Bangladesh. A study in Chinaduli Union, Islampur Upazila, Jamalpur. Introduction. The sustainability of agriculture in Bangladesh faces continuous threat from the increased frequency of severe weather events and natural disasters resulting in catastrophic damage to agriculture and undermining food security. Timely and accurate early warning and forecast have been recognized as effective techniques for crucial decision making in routine agricultural operations. Systems that provide early warning of climate extremes can reduce the adverse impact of such events if they are embedded in effective communication and linked to decision-making processes. Our study shows that there would have been some progress in improving early warning systems for the sustainability of agriculture, which ultimately ensure food security. Consequently, there are many more needs and deeds in operational early warning systems. Objectives of this study. Here, some objectives we presented: evaluating farmers' perception on existing early warning system, assessing effectiveness of early warning system for sustainable agriculture, evaluating the coping strategies taken by farmers. Study area. We selected a study area as Islampur Upazila from Jamalpur. Islampur Upazila includes two main water bodies, Jamuna and Old Brahmaputra River. Chindali Union is the most suffered area for facing disastrous flood each year, which includes 7 villages: Paliadaha, Bamnachor, Gilabari, Chornandaner Para, and Chinaduli. Methodology. We conducted our research in mixed method, which include both qualitative and quantitative methods. Primary data are collected through survey, FGD, and interview and observation. Secondary data were collected from BBS, BEDS, Bangladesh Environment and Development Society, DOE, Department of Environment, journal articles, book newspapers, and from various internet sources. Focus group discussions. In our focus group discussion, most of the groups consist of nearly 7 to 8 members, which include the 2 authors of us, 2 members of Chinaduli Union Parishad, 1 headmaster of Balidala Primary School, local shopkeepers from Bajar, fishermen, farmer in their local community. Findings and discussions. Main crops cultivated in this area. Rice is the dominant agricultural product in Jamalpur as well all other parts of Bangladesh. 45% of farmers produce rice, 20% are engaged in jute cultivation, 70% farmer cultivate wheat, measured 70%, mustard 70%, sugarcane 5%. Other crops cultivated in Jamalpur are peanut, wheat, sweet potato, tobacco, betel leaf, chili, pulse vegetable, etc. Disasters occurrence in last 5 years. See here, Islampur Upazila suffers from flood. In last 5 years, it was affected by 4 severe floods. Riverbank erosion happened 3 times and drought 2 times. Crop loss by per disaster. Here we have calculated the percentage of crop loss by per disaster of last 5 years. 60% of total crop loss is caused by flood. We found that riverbank erosion is another catastrophic disaster here. Almost 20% of total crop loss is by riverbank erosion. Drought, this is drought hazardous district, and it loses its great number of agricultural products, which comprises 18% of total crop loss. Other natural disasters like Kalboishaki and tornado also cause agricultural loss. Farmers' perception on early warning system. Flood forecasting and warning center has been providing flood forecast on 72 hours, weekly, fortnightly, and monthly basis. As part of the process, the Flood Forecasting and Warning Center generates and disseminates daily a statistical bulletin of river situation, a descriptive bulletin forecast for 24, 48, and 72 hours. Flood warning by Department of Disaster Management through interactive voice response IVR. Practical Action Bangladesh disseminate the voice SMS-based early warning system and agricultural advisory system services. PAB, Practical Action Bangladesh, has been disseminating voice SMS-based flood early warning messages among 20,000 small and medium-scale farmers involved in crop cultivation, fishing, and livestock rearing in Jamalpur. According to 45% respondents, voice SMS-based early warning and agricultural advisory services by PAB is effective and actionable for flood preparedness. 30% respondents said that interactive voice message is effective to them. Only 20% preferred periodic early warning system by flood forecasting and warning center. Measures taken after early warning system dissemination. This study shows that most of the farmers gave more importance to protect household belongings. Percentage is 92. Comes livestock. 52% of farmers shift their livestock to highland or Killa. Literally do nothing to protect their herd. Recommendation. We're recommending some initiatives on according to our study. These are arranging program for training and increasing awareness in community level, increasing lead time as farmers can have enough time to prepare, strengthening mobile phone based early warning system, disseminating early warning system with voice message in clear local language, explaining warning messages to the farmers to make clear the degree of potential flood. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Jashimuddin, for your interesting presentation. It's
Thank you.
Your title also is an interesting one. I find needs and deeds in early warning system. Just it's attract me. But before going to any comments, I just like to know from you, do you get any limitation from your study?
Hello, sir.
Do you get any limitations from your study? Have any limitation?
Uh, yes, sir. The limitation is in this pandemic, we tried to make a larger survey program, but we didn't. We surveyed only 100 household from this Islampur Upazila. That is a limitation.
There is noise coming from this microphone, I don't know. But okay. Your study area is one union, Jamalpur, Sampur Bozala. But do you think this represents the whole Bangladesh? Or you have the an intention to widen the study area or take some sample area all over the Bangladesh? Because I think it's a very interesting thing. Early warning issue is a very important issue also. So you
So
have any plan to study, widen your study all over Bangladesh?
this study represents the northern Bangladesh and floodplain areas of northern Bangladesh. This doesn't represent the whole country, sir.
Yeah. I think you would be better if you take some sample area all over the Bangladesh and do your study area. Again, you get, I think, amazing results. Thank you, Mr. Joshua.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Now, floor is open, please.
Respected chair, may I ask one or two queries, please?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Joshimuddin, this really, you actually, as Chairman sir told, the title is very lucrative and very time demanding. I have some queries regarding the which five years you have considered for the study. Which 5 years, please?
Sir, last 5 years. Last five
Okay,
years.
it means 2015 to 2019, something like that.
Yeah, 2015.
Okay.
20.
Okay. So actually, I personally visited those locations, especially Islampur itself and Shabdori Union. So I am quite familiar with the locations. As Chairman sir asked, actually in your area, is it really represent the northwestern part or not? In my personal opinion, it is actually not representative in a broader sense, because whatever the scenario in the Shabdori Union or Islampur Upazila, that is not similar to the Gaibanda, that is not similar to the Kurigram.
Yes.
So there's lots of differences. This needs to be checked. And in your slide, you have shown that due to flood, crop loss is 60%. So actually, what is the cause behind that? What is the lackings? Why crops are damaged? It means, are the people not getting the early warning system? This is actually not early warning. That should be some seasonal forecast with a proper lead time.
Yes.
Or what is your opinion?
Sir, basically they get some forecast and warning from government and NGOs, but there are some limitations and problems. People can understand, or they can take measures for their agriculture, because sometimes they are not literate enough, or they have not enough money or good prepare for something good preparations.
Okay, my last query is in your slide you mentioned IBM, maybe by DOM. What is IBM? And DOM mean, I think, Department of Meteorology, I think something like that. What is IBM in your graph you have mentioned?
IBM is this is IVR, sir. IVR.
What is this?
Voice message.
Okay. Actually, this is a good start of the study. In my personal view, there are lots of limitations in the study region. There is not that much volunteer availability, and of course, there is a very remote land. So, if you further study, you have to consider those points. Thank you, Joshua. Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity.
Thank you.
I have one question to Joshimuddin. How many people did you interview in total?
Sir, 100 people, 100 people.
100. And how many of them were farmers?
Sir, most of them were farmers, almost 80% were farmers, and some are local labor.
Okay. Only 100 people. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir, any queries?
Sorry, any question from the more? Okay, if we don't have any questions, we go for our next presentation. This is our last but not the least. This is a important presentation, I think. This is impacts on temperature and humidity on global COVID-19. Our presenter is Muhammad Ashikur Rahman from Art, Science, Technology and Policy Services, Bangladesh. Please welcome Dr. M. Ashikur Rahman. Ashfaqur Rahman, sorry.
Good evening, welcome. Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah, as we have all concerned about the things, so at least what may be the reason for why we are not able to understand the reason behind of the pandemic which we are facing now. Okay, I want to slide share. Okay. Yeah, are you getting my slides? Slides are there?
Yeah, we are.
Okay. Yeah. So now the outlines are introduction, then motivation of this study, then what are the data and methods I have used, and then I will show some results, and then finally I draw the conclusions. So as we all know that the pandemic situation over this, we can say from the last December, but it is alarming from the this year, February and March, in almost all the countries and regions, and still it is concerning and alarming. And COVID-19 is COVID-19 because of the name represent that coronavirus infection disease, and it was started in the December 2019 in Wuhan of China. And at the beginning, people were not aware of this and not so much curious. But once upon started in the, especially in the Western countries and Northern countries, then it was slowly come back to the, go down to the tropical and then also the southern hemisphere of the globe. And many deaths are occurred already. There are many cases also in every country. And we have also observed that the lower and higher temperature and humidity in both environment, the cases were going on. And it was not real reason why.
আমার এখানে এরকম জুম এরকমই হচ্ছে কেন?
Any problem facing, please?
Is it okay for my slides?
I think not so. Could you please zoom in your slides, because some portions I can see, some portions is out of my computer.
Okay. Okay.
May I request through chair, please? Okay, okay, okay. That's good idea.
Oh, I understand.
No, 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 no.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, now is
But
okay.
okay, I
Uh,
understand. Uh-huh.
okay,
I
but
Okay,
think
okay. I think then I don't need to slide slow. I can go one by one. It will be convenient to get the text. Yeah,
it's,
it's okay.
still its slides are just shifted right side, and that's okay. Now is okay.
Yeah.
now I think we are okay. Zoom is okay. I think we are getting the slideshow as a slideshow
Full
presentation.
screen.
But
Maybe you
Yeah,
can try with the full screen. Maybe.
it's full screen, and I can see now in the middle of the monitor.
yeah, now
Is
But
it okay?
it's
Or
okay for us. I think
yeah,
some problem
I can do both
on
way.
that
Anyway,
problem. Yeah, thank
sometimes I can come back to that.
you.
Okay. Motivation is that it was, how can I say, this crisis is not for us only. It is for the global, all the countries, that is the well-rich countries and the Western countries as well. And the greatest challenge is for this time is facing the COVID-19 for everywhere. We can see beginning from the daily livelihood to the any travel and anything we want to do, but we cannot do because of this very severe thing, which is not a matter of taking lightly, because it is a matter of life and death. So it was the challenge. And then we have also seen that some meteorological parameters are also influencing this, like the other respiratory diseases. So, but although the temperature and humidity effects are not so, means like it is controversial still, that is it affecting really or not? But the data and methods I will show, and then I show the results. We can see that some linkages are there. It is not that there is no relation. There are some relation we have found in that way. Anyway, the data methods, data I have used the European Center for Medium Range Weather Forecasts. They have the next generation ERA 5 data. And then from there, I have used the 2-meter temperature and surface specific humidity. And for the COVID-19 cases and death, I have used also the European Center for Disease Prevention and Control data that has the globally country-wise and monthly and daily data right there. So I have taken the monthly cases and deaths, and I have used the regression model to see the rate of changes, and then for the temperature and humidity, which is influencing the COVID-19 over the globe. So here are some results. We can see that this is the January. This is the March. I have started from the March to September, 7 months of studies. So we can see that during this period, the month March, there are very few cases in India, 32, and UK it was slowly starting up, and Italy it was highest almost. After that, in I have gone to the June, and then we have seen that the death in India has increased a lot, but UK and USA it is somehow not much changing, but Italy it is decreased. We can check for that, how it can be done in the line charts as well. In the September, India increased more, Italy decreased, UK decreased, and USA almost same. And now the line charts, we can see the cases increases for the positively for USA. This is the specific humidity in the primary axis, and the secondary axis is the cases per 10,000 population. And this is the monthly time series for cases in the dark brown, and the humidity is the green. And for the temperature, it is the red line, and the cases are as well dark brown. So it is positive for USA, Mexico specific humidity, and almost similar for the things. So now we can see for the other countries. So this is the case what we can see. Say about the Bangladesh, it is positive, highly positive, and also for the other countries like Russia, it is similar to our country. Then we can see for India and also UK compared to they now it is going negatively. Means like if it starts from the UK, we can see later on that is negatively impacting the humidity and the temperature. Means like temperature decrease and temperature increase, but mortality and cases are increased. This is not reflecting that one. So means like that if lower temperature is getting more severity of this disease. For the Middle East country, Saudi Arabia and Iran, it is also how can I say, it is positively related with that one. So, but for the southern hemisphere, starting from the Brazil and also the Italy, it is negative, and all other southern hemispheric countries, they are negatively related. Means like I want to say, the temperature decrease, increase, but the how can I say, the patients are decreased, negatively related, and all the southern hemisphere. But we know that during the our summer they have the winter, so in the winter they have increased number of patients. But the real things we can see in the scatter plots, because it is very interesting to see only exceptional cases USA and Bangladesh and Russia, but all other countries are showing that the trend, regression trends are negatively related for the COVID-19 cases. And we have started here with the USA, then we can see the India is, it is very interesting to see that India is negative really for the both case and death. Both are negatively scattered, things like that. The regression trend is negative. And as I have said, only few exceptions, Russia and Bangladesh and other countries like that. The southern hemispheric countries, they're all negatively related. And even with the Middle Eastern countries, Saudi Arabia, death rates are negative. For Iran, it is positive both anyway. So these are the things, and we can say it is direct, because my conclusion is like that COVID-19 cases and deaths are found negatively related to temperature and humidity in most of the countries. And we can say that lower temperature may cause higher COVID cases and higher deaths may cause higher. But the point is here that there are several other factors like socio-economic condition, density of people, and the movement and the environment. It should be considered in this relationship, because we directly say that if the temperature is lower, humidity is it's like that lower, then there will be more death. These are the findings from here, but it can be further enhanced with the other additive models like what we have seen. So these are the points from my side. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Ashfaqur Rahman. It's a very, I think at present it's a very important issue, as all we are in pandemic situation. And we see day by day in Bangladesh, also all over the world, it is increasing. Both infection and death rate all are increasing. So it's a very crucial issue for us. So I again thanks and congratulate you to bring this issue before us. Thank you. Now, floor is open. Please feel free to ask questions and give your comments. But I have one just query question actually. Dr. Ashfaq, you said from your study, we've found that it's a negatively correlated all over the world except Bangladesh and Russia. But why it's happened for Bangladesh and Russia? Do you have any study or?
Yes, I also thought about it. Actually, not only Bangladesh and Russia, there are other countries like USA, and it's like it's very strange to think about it. That why in Bangladesh it is. It's like, for example, India. It is. We know that India is severely affected, but I think the point is not only these meteorological conditions. There's like, for example, lockdown is a it was crucial for the beginning. We could not maintain, and also even we in our country we don't have the effective lockdown. For example, if we consider the Italy, I think the lockdown was effectively done there, and then we have seen that they decrease very rapidly. They decrease this thing. So, to my opinion, in our country, the elderly people or the vulnerable people, they are not maintaining this carefulness. It's like it should be from that side, not only the other factors. For example, this is the habit of the people not to maintain proper precaution for this new disease. But for USA, it is very strange because it is both way. We have from the media we learn that people don't maintain that. They don't care about these things. These are the happens also in Germany. Yeah, I think for our country, maybe we are not so much aware of these things. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Respected Chairman, I just
Yes.
like to talk, say something.
Yes, please.
Dr. Ashfaqur Rahman Bhai, actually, it is very glad to see you after a long time. Of course, it is virtually.
Mhm.
We are colleagues in South Meteorological Research Center long before. So very interesting study you have attempted. Really, it is time demanding. How COVID-19 pandemic is correlated with the weather-related variables. So I think it is a good start. Why you have not taken that data from our own observation? Is it only because of the limitation of the data or some other reason? And this one query. And next one is the comparison what you have done USA, Mexico, and of course Bangladesh. I think it would be a bit more better if you take some another one or two country within the South Asian context. Thank you. Thank you for your good start.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, the things are like that. Data actually, we have some data like from the BMD, but I consider the global aspect. So I took 1 point from our country, so it should be homogeneous. So I took the era 5 data from everywhere. And then you said the countries like, for example, we can consider Pakistan or maybe Thailand or Malaysia or Indonesia. Is also, but I think in South Asia, India is the most representative one. So I took that one anyway. And for other things, I forget your last comment. It was something else. For other...
Last one is just in the sense of comparison, Bangladesh is okay, but it should be some other South Asian countries. It would be better to represent how it is changed. Like recently, Nepal pandemic cases is increasing. India, of course, it is a very large country. Actually, we don't know anything about the Myanmar. So in that way, if you compare some developing country in the context of the South Asian region, so that will be give some more fruitful outcome. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you. I will consider that.
Respected Chair, may I have some just observation on the basis of this presentation, please?
Yeah, thank you. Okay, please.
Actually, it's very hard to relate only temperature and humidity to cause this kind of disease as a pandemic or endemic situation, because it's absolutely it is an elderly disease, and the person who have some other comorbidity, the person is very vulnerable to this disease. And also it's a microbes and very tiny particle. So it's very hard to say that this temperature and humidity can influence death rate or some other else. Because the origin of this disease was Wuhan. At that time, it was spring there. So we cannot conclude or we cannot, but I think it's a study. It's a very basic study or very good initial stage of study. But I think there are some more countries, still they don't bother about this disease. And they have more elderly people. So death rate is more high than other countries. And this virus is subjected to mutation frequently. So it's very hard to conclude or to assume this kind of phenomena of this virus to cause this pandemic situation wherever this world. So I think Dr. Ashpak have a nice courage to relate this kind of disease with temperature and humidity, but actually it's a very, very complex, and still we have long way to go to know detail of this disease and how to control this pandemic situation. As for example, if we think about the Middle East countries, because the temperature is very hot outside the room, so someone say there could have no chance to have disease in Middle East Asia, but still there are some Mars disease and some other virus disease still is there, because it's a kind of transmission through concomitant way. People, human being can carry one place to another, and man never exist outside the room condition, because man have to dwell in house equipped with air conditioner or fan or some other else, but still there is disease. So anyway, thank you very much, Dr. Ashfaq, to start this kind of attempt. I think we have a long way to go. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I just one or two things to say, because it is only related with the temperature and humidity. I said that it is not we cannot directly compare, but there are some complex way to relate the other factors. For example, the population density, the lockdown conditions, and socio-economic conditions, as well as the environment and the habit of the people. Yeah, I really agree with Dr. Mr. Tariq. Yeah, I really agree. This is very complex, but I want to say that if we want to check, we can see something is there.
Yeah, but
Yeah, we can go further.
yes, in that case we can go for polynomial regression.
Yes, polynomial regression also additive model of the regression.
Yes, yes.
So
Then we can consider so many factors.
So many factors. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Then we can.
Yeah, sure.
Anyway, thank you very much for enjoying.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments or question? Dr. Alamgir, have you any questions or comment?
Basically, I have attended lots of talks on this COVID-19, and all of them, most of them basically, most of them was based on that biology and the mathematical model for spreading the things. It's a virus, so it cannot, it just propagate from one person to the other. And there may be some factor. So it's water droplet, very small water droplet. And there may be some factor that high temperature can just dry that drop out and the virus cannot fly. That is the only thing. So what I think that one should simulate very small droplet like the size of the virus and check its flying time or flying distance in various different temperatures. That would be a nice study. That's my suggestion and comments. Thank you very much. I told these things with some other scientists also, like who works on simulating the things and simulating the biological molecule. I talked with them about this issue also, that this is the only way we can say that there are some effect of the virus on temperature and humidity. Otherwise, it's very difficult for us to say the things. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you all. I think we come to the end of the sessions. Dr. Alamgir,
yes,
we have the. concluding
So-
remarks?
So for my end, it was a very nice session, and it was very interactive and informative. And there were six talks from basically 6 different dimensions. One from this media, the other from uh, agroeconomy, the other from uh, climate change and omen studies. So the effect of omen on climate change, the other and house production. So all of those, the others one on early warning systems. All of those are very much related to our everyday life, and these are all very much these works all are very much related to our economy, to our sustainable development. So thanks to the organizer for choosing such a wonderful session, such a wonderful presentation. They collect from different parts of the world, and we get all the things together. We get lots of new informations here, and that will definitely helps our students and us to think in different dimension about our research. So it's a really nice session was going on. Thanks to all of us. I mean, thanks to all of the audience to stay with us for a long time. Thank you very much. Thanks to the Department of Meteorology, University of Dhaka, for arranging such a wonderful conference. Thank you very much. That's it.
Thank you, Dr. Alamgir, co-chair of the sessions. First, I would like to thank all 6 presenters. They,
Okay.
they come up with varieties of issue, different 6 issues on the applied meteorology. It's all are very interesting. So I again congratulate them and thanks them all. I have some comments on individual paper, so I would make it for us. That first one was our online media coverage. It's a very, I think for me it's an exceptional paper and also enlightened me, because we know that online media is now playing important role to educate the mass people. For this, especially I think climate change issue is a very important and very urgent issue for us. So online media coverage on climate change issues has been increasing. It's very interesting, and also I am hopeful that this trend will sustain and will help to create awareness on of the impacts of climate change to our people. Thank you, the researcher and the presenter. Our second issue was on growth and yield response relationship to agrometeorological indices on land basis of maize cultivation. All we know, Bangladesh is an agriculture-based country, and the study of growth and yield of crop is important for us. We know a number of studies on these aspects have been carried out, but by our researchers for the rice crops, but a few is found on maize. So this presentation was very interesting for me. In this context, the present study is important, I think. I have a simple suggestion that author can go for canopy surface albedo for the growth and yield also.
I will try. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And in this respect, you can use the remote sensing technology, and in Esparso, we have this expertise, and you are always welcome to use that remote sensing technology.
It's a very good chance to me
Yeah.
because you are very close to us.
Thank you. You are always welcome. Yeah. Yeah. Our second paper was climate change and women in Bangladesh, gender's perspective. This study depicted the aspects of vulnerability of women comparing to men due to climate change and the probable role of women can play in climate actions. As all we know that in all other sectors also, our women are vulnerable. So in this sector as well. However, this study may be enriched if a comparison of these scenarios mentioned here with some other nations be included. I think in abroad, we can comparison of several countries also. That will be the, I think, very interesting for the policymakers. Thank you, the presenters. Our next presentation was impact on weather of rain-fed Aush rice production in Bangladesh using decision support system. This presenter was Rahatul Islam. This is a similar kind of study as Mays mentioned earlier, but addressed rain-fed Aush rice. The authors of this paper mentioned rightly that rice cultivation during pre-monsoon season is emerging in Bangladesh because it is a high environmentally friendly nature and yield potential compared to other 2 seasons of rice cultivation, Boro and Ama. The other important aspects of this paper is the proposition of appropriate adaptive techniques to overcome climate change impacts on the rice production. So I think it will be interesting for more research on this issue. Thank you, presenters. Our next paper was on needs and deeds in early warning systems for sustainable agriculture in Bangladesh. Actually, earlier I mentioned that it was interesting title. It attracted me, but I found it from the presentation. This is a limited area. The representation is not wide enough, so it would be for a present researcher. I just request them to widen their research study area, and they can also use the sample area from all over the Bangladesh, which represents the Bangladesh actually. So it will be a very further research on this issue. It will be very interesting because we know the early warning system, especially for not flood and also for the cyclone, is very urgent. We need. Thank you, the presenter. Then our last but not the least, impact on temperature and humidity on global COVID-19. It was presented by Dr. Ishfaqur Rahman. As I mentioned earlier, it is as we all are living with COVID situation. The pandemic is all over the whole society, all over the world. So it is a very important also timely research work, I think. If we find a very strong correlation with temperature and humidity. Also other factors, as the researchers said that other factors, say, lockdown and maintain distancing, also hand wash and also using the masks, these are very important issues. But we found very interesting things from this. So all these from me. I like to thanks the organizer invite me to this valuable session. I enlightened me this from this presentation. It educates me. So I again like to thanks all organizers, especially Professor Tawhida Rashid and his team for inviting me to these sessions. Thank you, and I transfer the microphone to the host to end the session. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of the organizing committee and Department of Meteorology, I would like to thank Honorable Chair and Co-Chair for conducting the session, and all the presenters for their wonderful presentation. I would also like to thank all the audience for being present in this session. The next session of the conference will be start at 20 in Bangladesh Standard Time. So all are invited to join the session. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.